This is Brenda Meller starting today's Facebook Live session. And what we're going to be doing today, guys, is a review of your LinkedIn profile and how to optimize your profile on LinkedIn. So I'm starting this Facebook Live here, and I'm doing this on my desktop. And I'd like to do the desktop view so you can actually see the profile views as I'm going through them here today. Now, what I'm doing right now is just kind of testing out my audio and video before we get started, because what I've always found is that, especially when I'm doing this by myself at home, I can't pop over to my coworker next to me and say, hey, can you hear what I'm saying? So if you're on the Facebook live stream, if you could just send me a quick message and just kind of comment on the video right now and let me know, yes, you can hear me, and tell me what you're seeing up on your screen. What you should be seeing up on your screen right now is my LinkedIn. And really what I'm doing is I'm on my home page and just want to make sure that that's what you're able to see as well. Now, after today's session, what I'm going to do is, this is the beauty of Facebook Live. When you live stream a video on Facebook, I have the ability to automatically post it to Facebook so that if someone wasn't able to attend it live and they want to watch the playback, they have the opportunity to do so. But also, more importantly, for those folks that maybe signed up to have their profile reviewed today and weren't able to make it because they're at work this morning, or just not able to make it for whatever reason, they can watch the playback as well. So what I do is I stream it live on Facebook and then post it to my Facebook business page afterwards. And then what I do is I actually pull a copy of that video down off of Facebook and I upload it to YouTube. And then I can also upload that raw video to LinkedIn or Twitter or my other social networks as well. So it's a nice little benefit there. All right, so I haven't seen any comments yet, guys. I see there's 5 of you who are in the session, and I don't get started with these things until I hear a comment from someone. So if you want me to get started, you've got to put a comment there up on your screen and just say, yes, I can hear you, or yes, I'm here. Just a bit of a comment, because I do want to make sure that anybody who's on the session can hear me and that you're seeing what I see up on my screen. So while I'm waiting for someone to comment, I am going to toggle into another screen here just to show you this is my profile checklist that I'll be covering in today's session. And what I'm going to do is actually start with this profile checklist before I start to do the profile reviews. And what I'm covering here on screen will be the areas that I'm going to be looking for as I do the profile reviews today. Now, when I originally posted this session, I said that I would do 5 profile reviews. And I had such a great response, guys. I think I had, I'm just going to count off real quick here. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think I had 12 total profiles that want to be reviewed. So instead of ending this at 11:30 Eastern time, I'm going to keep this going until probably 12 noon today, and we'll end it no later than that. So if you are one of those 12 people, make sure you hang out, because we're going to show those profile views. I'm going to try to get through all of them today. But here's what I'll be looking through. So when I'm going through profiles on LinkedIn, this is my optimization checklist. What I'm going to start with is at the top of every profile, there's 2 image areas. I look for your professional headshot photo and I look for your background image. Now let's talk about those for a second. Your professional photo, what I look for there is that it is indeed a professional photo, because this is you putting your best face forward, and not a selfie, not a vacation photo, not something where you're cropped or it's poor lighting, or if it's inside your car. I can't tell you how many of those photos I've seen. You want to make sure that you're representing your organization, your career, your personal brand to the best extent possible. So make sure that it is professional looking, pleasant, smiling. And if you need a headshot photographer, there's several here in Metro Detroit. In fact, I had my headshot photos done by Scott Lawrence. I would highly recommend him if you need a headshot photographer. He's the one who did the lovely photo you see here up on your screen. Also, when I look at the profile photo, I want to make sure that your face is about 50% or even 60% of the circle. Because of the fact that about half of website traffic occurs nowadays on a mobile device, we want to make sure that it's large enough that people can actually see your face. Behind your headshot, I'm going to look for your background image, and it's that rectangular area. I want to see an image, not just the default on here. I want to make sure that it aligns with your industry, with your company, or with your personal brand. So as I scan through your profile, I'm going to give some judgment calls. Does it seem to make sense to me if you do have something in there? I'm also going to look at your headline on LinkedIn, and by default, LinkedIn will put job title at company. You want to change that to be something a little bit more descriptive and appealing, and it does not necessarily need to match your job title. I'm going to look to see how many connections do you have on LinkedIn. More than 10 shows me that you're active. If I land on a profile and it has only 1 to 2 connections, I probably won't send you an invitation because I don't think you're using that account. So continually growing the list there of connections is what's important. But again, having more than 10 will show me that you're active on LinkedIn. We're going to look at your summary statement on LinkedIn. And what I want to do here is make sure that you're focusing on what are your first 3 lines in the summary statement. Are those written in the first person? Does it look like you're telling us about you and not your resume description of yourself? So write it to describe how you can help your audience. And we're going to look at my profile. We're going to look at a couple of yours in there as well. Okay, so it looks like the comments are finally starting to come in, guys. I think there's a little bit of a delay, but thank you, Ian. Welcome, Maureen. Welcome, Helena. And welcome, Tonia. We've got Jim on with us. Excellent. Blaire's on here too. So welcome, 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 guys. So after the summary statement, I'm going to look at your experience section, and I like to make sure that you have that filled out. Yeah, you're describing your company, 1 to 2 sentences in the beginning. Tell us about your products and services that your company offers. You are brand ambassadors for your organization, so make sure that you're using that experience section to sell your organization to us. Then you can finish by describing your role and key achievements and putting some specialties or a keyword list in there. I'm going to talk about that when I go into the profile reviews. And showcasing projects using the media section. Not a lot of people use that, but I'm going to show you on my profile that section. Then the last 2 things I'm going to look at are your skills section, which is called skills and endorsements. So you'll remember the endorsements if I put that on here. We're going to talk about looking at the top 3, the fact that you can use up to 50. So make sure those are really filled out and that those skills are representative with where you're at this point in your career. Meaning if you are a high-level executive, I would not expect that you're putting Excel, Word, and PowerPoint on there. We think that you know how to use those skills. We want to see higher level leadership, management, public speaking, those keywords in there. And then the last section I'm going to look at is your recommendations section on LinkedIn to see, have you both given recommendations and have people recommended you on LinkedIn? I like to see that you've given a few more than you've received. It just shows that you're a nice person, that there are people in the network that you can say nice things about. And finally, I like to look at, on the recommendations, both sides, given and received. Do you have 1 to 2 current for the current year? So that kind of covers off what I'll be going through as I go through this profile optimization reviews here today. So what I'm going to start with is I'm on my LinkedIn homepage, and to get into my profile, what I do is I click on my name icon there, and it takes me into my profile. So I'm just going to start with a quick review of my profile before we go into some of the profile reviews. So headshot photo in the upper left-hand corner here, and keep in mind, desktop, your photo is left aligned. If you pull out your phone right now, guys, you're going to see that your headshot photo is actually center aligned when you're looking at your profile in mobile view. So for that reason, make sure you don't have any text that's in the lower left quadrant or in the center of this image, because those things are going to be blocked. So behind my headshot, you'll see I have this branded header image, and this is a color as a treatment that I'm using on my website as well. So I have some brand consistency going there. As a marketing and LinkedIn consultant, what I do is I always like to put a marketing tip or a LinkedIn tip in my header image. I've seen other people put call to action with their website, phone number, email, or just a company logo. That's perfectly fine. But that's what you'll see on my profile. About once per quarter, I'm going to change that LinkedIn tip or put a new marketing tip in there, because I always like to keep content fresh on my profile. Okay. Underneath my name, this section right here that I'm going to highlight now, this is called your headline on LinkedIn. This is not called your job title section. This is called your headline. So what I have done here is I've used the I help formula. So I help blank with blank. So I help people and businesses with marketing and social media. And then I go on to say I'm a LinkedIn coach, a public speaker, and a marketing consultant. So you can see here, I'm really trying to set up in my headline who I am and who I wish to connect with on LinkedIn and how can I help you. That's what I'm looking for there, okay? Underneath that, I'm going to scroll down, and you see in your summary section here on LinkedIn, and what we're going to see here is we only see 3 lines of your summary on LinkedIn. Again, if you've got your phone in front of you, I want you to look at your summary statement now on your phone. Do not click on show more. I want you just to see what your visitors see before they click on show more. You're going to notice in the desktop view that the text cuts off a lot sooner. I actually think mine ends right after this word efforts here. So for that reason, even though LinkedIn gives me 2,000 characters, I want to focus on about the first 80 to 90 characters, because that's all that's going to show in my mobile view of my summary statement. So focus on what is the very first sentence you have in your summary statement. And your goal here is to kind of speak to your target audience and to try to kind of connect with those people that you might want to do business with on LinkedIn. And I've done this in my profile as well. I've done this in the first person. So it's me speaking to you. I believe in the power of marketing and social media to connect you with your target audience. Instead of saying experienced marketing professional who is passionate about LinkedIn, which sounds like a resume summary. You do not want a resume summary. You want to use a very personalized summary here on LinkedIn. And when I click on show more here, guys, what this is going to do is expand out my whole summary statement. So for those of you that I've hooked and I've brought into my profile, if you're taking the time to click on show more, I say, why not fill this out? Let's tell people your story. And that's what I do. I talk about my fascination with LinkedIn began in 2008. At the height of the recession, I found a new career using LinkedIn. So I'm telling you a bit about why I'm passionate about what I do and a little bit of a storytelling approach to that. When you look through my summary here, you're going to see that I use short paragraphs. In marketing terms, we call this short, snackable chunks of copy. And because of the fact that I can't do bolding or underline, I've used other techniques. I use section headings in all caps. I use emojis instead of bullet points. And I also make sure that there's no paragraph that's really longer than 2 or 3 sentences, because of the fact that in mobile view, 2 sentences actually becomes 4 or 5 sentences. So I want to make sure it doesn't feel like heavy reading. And in fact, I want you to think about this as you're looking throughout my profile, and feel free to look at my profile as often as you'd like. This is what I do for a living. I encourage you. I don't get weirded out when people look at my profile. I want you to use this as an example. So as you're scrolling through here, you know, hopefully these headings and the emojis are creating almost like speed bumps that when you're reading through the profile, it's causing you to pause and maybe you scroll back up based on what you saw before, or scroll back down. At the bottom of my summary section, a couple things I want to point out. I put specialties in a keyword list. I put this not for you as a human being to read, guys. I put this in here so that I'm coming up in searches for keywords and phrases that I want to be found for on LinkedIn. So look at that, put in those keywords and phrases, and make sure that the ones you want to be found for, those keywords are listed several times throughout your profile. This helps with profile optimization. This is going to help you to come up in search results and to increase your profile views. I also include some personal goals, some philosophies, because it helps to tell my story. This is one of my newest ones. When life hands you lemons, make a lemon pie. I'm a big pie lover, so that's why I have that in there. And then underneath at the very bottom, I do include some media in here. You can upload videos. I think this is the podcast link, this first one. You can upload video links. You can upload pictures in there, SlideShare decks, etc., etc. So that's kind of my summary at the top. And let's just pause here and look at the dashboard, guys. This is what I do for a living. My numbers should be a little bit higher than yours, but these techniques are what are helping me to get such a huge number of profile views. If I click on that dashboard here, you can see that I have a pretty steady stream of views over time. So this isn't just a fluke for the past 90 days. This is pretty consistent here, what I'm getting in terms of profile views. When I scroll down to my experience section, I start with a 2-sentence description of what is Meller marketing. So that's in my experience section. I have that in there. I also include a list of my products and services in here next, because I'm trying to sell services of my company. And then I can go on to explain, you know, what I do in my role. I list specialties in another keyword list in here. I'm using the media section to highlight additional areas of offerings for my business. So I do this with every one of my experience sections. I kind of start with a description. I include specialties in his keyword list, etc., etc. Okay? And then make sure you do have the other sections of your profile that are filled out here as well. And I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom because I want to show you 2 other areas, and then I'm going to start looking at your profiles. So skills and endorsements. LinkedIn gives you up to 50 skills to add. I would say fill out all 50 if you can, because it will help you to come up in more search results on LinkedIn. What's more important, though, is what are the top 3 skills that you have on your profile, and are those the skills that you really want to be known for? Now, I recently shifted this around a little bit because I was getting so many skills and endorsements for social media and marketing strategy. And I wanted to kind of flip this around because I'm doing a lot more nowadays with LinkedIn strategy and the whole concept of social selling. So I've reorganized and added those to the top. And public speaking is something I do a lot of speaking engagements, so I want to keep that at the top. But if I wanted to reorder anything else, guys, what I would do is click on the pencil icon, and then I would just unpin something at the top, and then I could repin, something else instead. I'm not going to click save here because I don't want to reorder those on my profile. But that's how you would reorder. Just unpin, and then you can move things around. LinkedIn will automatically put those in order based on how many times you've been endorsed for those areas. But I would say reorder them and put the top ones at the top of your profile. And then you could click on add a new skill here too. Now I already have, I think I've got 49 on my profile, so I can add one more skill on my profile here. So LinkedIn is saying, hey, how about lead generation? I could say sure, and then it'll say you've reached the limit of 50 skills. I'm not going to add that in right now. But that's just how you would add more skills on your profile. Recommendations here, remember earlier I said what I look for is have you given more than you've received? Now, I have a lot, this is what I do for a living, that's why you're seeing so many on my profile, but part of this is an active process. I will, when I have a great client engagement, I will reach out to the client and I will say, hey, Stephanie, would you mind giving me a LinkedIn recommendation? And then that's where I get these lovely recommendations from people in my network. And these help with the whole concept of social selling, social proof. If people want to do business with me, here are other people who've done business with me. And this helps you, maybe if you're thinking about doing business with me, to kind of reach out and make that ask. On the given side, this just shows, there's a lot of people in my network that I've done business with and people that have been just, really great connections who I would vouch for personally, professionally. Tina Marie is someone who she recently launched her own business, and I've been following her career success. I've seen her present at conferences, and she just does a great job when she presents. She makes me laugh, she makes me think, and she's really an expert in HR and in employee engagement. So those are just a couple of examples of recommendations I've given. Yossi is another gentleman. I was needing some help on LinkedIn, rather on QuickBooks, and reached out through my LinkedIn network, and I had someone else in my network recommend Yossi, and he has made me untangle the knots in my QuickBook. So I've given him a recommendation. So those are just a couple of examples of recommendations on LinkedIn. All right, so we're going to get started here. And the first one I'm going to do, because I saw Brooke on the Facebook Live session here. Whoops. We're going to look up your last name. I'm sorry, I'm thinking Blaire, Brooke, but I typed in the wrong name here. So Blaire Miller. And Blaire and I have crossed paths several times, I think originally first through Inforum, and we've just stayed in contact here. So here's my profile review for you, Blaire. So what I look for, headshot photos, I think I love your photo. It's a new photo. I think it represents your personality well. It's pleasant, professional, smiling. Current, meaning it's a photo that's within the past few years. When I see you at a networking event in person, it looks like you. Your face is 60% of the circle, so I can see you clearly, even if I'm looking at this on a mobile device, which is great. This background image here, this is kind of, what I know of the Hunter Group is an executive search firm, and they work as executive recruiters. And I think what she's kind of showing here is that she has interconnected with people all throughout the world, and that she has global reach with her organization. So both this and the header image create some nice consistency with that theme I'm looking for on her profile. The next thing I'm looking for is your headline here, Blaire, and you have co-owner of the Hunter Group, Michigan's premier executive recruiter since 1995. The only thing I might suggest there, Blaire, is let's think about, we only have 80 characters or so to catch people's attention. So rather than leading with co-owner of the Hunter Group, I might say move that to the end and start with Michigan's premier executive recruiter since 1995. If there's any specific industries or job titles that you're working with, maybe include those in your headline as well. But otherwise, I would say just move co-owner to maybe the after the since 1995 in there. Might be just a better use of the first few sections there in your headline. And next thing I'm looking for is your summary statement, Blaire. And what I'd like to do, what I'd like to suggest here is, change this from third person, where Blaire Miller specializes in, change it to first person. I specialize in identifying top executive talent. So just putting the I instead of the Blaire Miller, this is you speaking to your LinkedIn network, and I think that might help you in there, just to kind of tell your story a little bit more, okay? So that's what I would kind of suggest there. You've got some really long paragraphs in here, Blaire. I'd like to see you maybe breaking that out, putting some all caps section headings in there. I love how you've got your call to action in here as well, because of the fact that you want to make yourself easy to get a hold of as a consultant, and I like that you're putting that in there. So that's all good there. Scrolling down, let's look under your experience section. You have that linked to your company page very nicely. So I can click on there and go to your company page, which is great. And then you have a description of the Hunter Group LLC. The only thing I might suggest to add in there, Blaire, is just the same call to action that you've got in your summary section at the top, where you have, for more information, please contact. I would say, why don't you repeat that, you know, in your experience section as well. And maybe even describing a bit more of the products and services that you offer. You know, is it C-level only? Is it Michigan only? Are there certain industries that you're targeting? So if somebody's landing on that section, you know, just tell a little bit more of that story of the Hunter Group. Let's see what else we have in here. Skills and endorsements. So we've got leadership, mergers and acquisitions, management. So those all line up with what I know about you. What's missing, though, I think, is executive search, or some keyword or phrase that kind of just is descriptive of the business that you're doing. I'm not seeing that in the list here, Blaire, so that might be something, executive recruiting, or something to consider adding in. Maybe in place of mergers and acquisitions, or I'm not sure, leadership and management are pretty similar too, so you might want to swap one of those out. So hopefully that helps. Recommendations, you've given 9, received 4, perfect. And let's see, 2014 was the last time you've received, so I know you have some great clients that you could reach out to now, Blaire, so let's see if you can get maybe 1 or 2 recent recommendations from 2018. And then given, let's see, you have given 9 recommendations. The last time was last May. So same thing here, you know, are there other people in your network you could give recommendations to in the current year? So hopefully that helps out, Blaire. That's your profile review. Now we're going to go into Laurie Heckel. And Laurie, I'm not sure if you reached out through LinkedIn or if it was through Facebook, but here's my once over on your profile. So a headshot photo. I would recommend this. This looks like I want to say not professional photo, but an amateur-ish photo. So it looks like it was taken with somebody's camera phone. So what I would suggest there is, if you have access to, through Huntington Bank, through a headshot photographer, try to get a more professional-looking headshot photo in there. Your face is a little bit more than 60% of the circle, which is fine. You could zoom it back just a little bit on there, just to show maybe a little bit more of you, maybe backing the face in. But I think having a more professional looking image would be something that would kind of trump the size of it, what I'd be looking at there. In the header image in the background, I would recommend, you know, putting something that is representative of Huntington National Bank, whether it's your company logo, picture of your building, or a bank branch or something like that. But again, use that space to help to brand your organization. Now we've got your headline here, Laurie. And it looks like you're trying to maximize those 120 characters, and my guess is that because of the fact that in some places you have spaces and other places you don't, and you probably ran out of characters there. So that's why you're not being consistent with the spacing before and after those type bars in there. So there, I would say it is a bit. I'd like to air it out a little bit. I would actually recommend, if you're tight on characters, you know, figure out what can you either reduce or eliminate. So for example, product management, project management. Could you do product/project management? Then you've got, you know, some characters that you can omit from the word management in there. Moving into your summary statement, you know, moving this into first person. I am an enterprising, ethical, dedicated sales and marketing professional. This does sound a bit more like a resume description, so may want to think about, you know, revising that to be more as a representative of Huntington National Bank. Then breaking that into some smaller paragraphs. You're making yourself really easy to get a hold of by putting your Gmail in there. I'm just clicking on your contact info. We've got some consistency with that in there as well. So if you're trying to drive leads to your business there, Laurie, what you might want to do is just change that from your Gmail to your Huntington email address. Sometimes people feel a bit funny if they want to do business with you to send an email to your Gmail. They may want a work-related email. So that might be one suggestion there. Okay. Moving on to your experience section, I would say let's start with a 1 to 2 sentence description. What is Huntington National Bank? You know, how many branches do they have? How many customers do they serve? Where are they based? You know, starting off with that, and then you do have the description of your role in there. I might just break that up into some bulleted statements, maybe break it up a little bit there too, just to make it a little bit easier to kind of skim through and read in there. Okay. And then scrolling down, we're going to look at skills and endorsements. You've got treasury management, sales, business development, and product management. All of those things are repeated what I've seen in your headline and your summary at the top. So those look good there. Just make sure you have 50 of those filled out in there. And then I'm not seeing any recommendations, Laurie, so think about who in your network you could request a recommendation from, whether that's coworkers, managers, present, former, vendors, clients, etc. And then who could you give a recommendation to? And think about paying it forward, giving those recommendations first, and then maybe coming back and requesting some recommendations later. I'm going to skip on over here now to Tonia Bohne, and Tonia is somebody who I've known for several years. We actually met through Inform many years ago, and we've kind of stayed connected over the years. And I know Tonia has now launched her own marketing consulting firm, and she's trying to grow her business out. So what I'm looking for here, Tonia, is we've got your headshot photo, your face. I think you could probably zoom that just a little bit more. It looks perfectly fine the way it is. I look for is at about 60% of the circle, and I think you're in good shape there. Nice, professional, pleasant. It looks like a current photo. I think you even had a photographer friend do the photo for you, and I really like that photo. When I see you in person, Tonia, that looks like you. This background image, I think this is kind of the step up from the default. I'd want to see, I haven't gone to your website recently, so I'd want to see, is there some consistency with the header image in the background with your personal brand, your company brand, your website. So just creating some consistency there. I think this is kind of in the category of what I like to refer to as artistic headers, but it's not really helping to tell me your story unless this is a header image that you're using on your website. Tonia's using the I help statement as well. So I help business owners manage marketing and social media, and she's also doing some part-time work for me at Meller Marketing, so you're going to see that on her profile, but she's working through her own firm, TLC Marketing. Okay, scrolling down, I'd like to see a 1 to 2 line description under each of those experiences, Tonia. So just starting with a 1 to 2 sentence description of the company and the products and services that they provide, etc. Filling that a little bit more. Skills and endorsements. So make sure you've got 50 of them filled out, and then what are the top 3? Since you're talking about marketing and social media as service offerings, I'd like to see marketing and social media making their way into the top 3 in the list. So think about making that change. And then under recommendations, you've received 3 and given 2. The last time you received one was 2010, and might just be, any clients that you're starting to work with now as you're ramping up your business, try to request a recommendation from them. And then on the given side, think about people that you could give a recommendation to. Vendors, clients, mentors, people you know through professional organizations, people that you are associated with through volunteer or community groups as well. All right, so there you go, Tonia. And we're at the 11:30 mark, but we're going to keep going, guys. If you joined us late, I mentioned that I'm going to keep this session going till about noon today. So I said originally 5 profile reviews, and we have so many people requesting profile reviews. I said I'm just going to keep this session going here. All right, so next thing I'm going to look at is Maureen Rovas, and Maureen and I met each other through Inforum at the Troy Networking Group, and she came up to me last week and said, make sure my profile's in the review session. So I said, I will absolutely, Maureen, make sure that you're included in here. So Maureen, a couple things on here. Headshot photo looks great, current and professional, pleasant, smiling, looking forward, all those great things. In your background, you've got a quote by Winston Churchill, which is really nice. I think that aligns nicely with what I know about you. In terms of kind of your inspirational focus. Certainly keep that in. Sometimes people do the inspirational message. Other times people do a image that aligns with their organization. I think either way, it's good here. Especially you work in a nonprofit, which is a very American Lung Association, can have some emotional ties to it. And showing that you're a good person, good-hearted person, that you believe in inspirational statements, I think aligns nicely with your role in that organization. All right, next. You've got your headline in here, and you have nonprofit fundraising and community engagement leader in Southeast Michigan. The other thing I might change or suggest on there too, Maureen, and I'm just looking through here, the American Lung Association is a fairly new role for you, if I'm remembering correctly. You started there earlier this year. So it might just be adding in a mention, supporting the American Lung Association or something to that extent, because when people are seeing your name coming up in search results, they're not going to see that right away. So I'd like to, encourage you to think about adding that in, especially as the executive director. You're the top brand ambassador for the organization, and including something about the American Lung Association, whether it's by name or their slogan or something else, might help to support your headline there on LinkedIn. Summary statement here, Maureen. I think you've got, you've got one sentence in here, but what I'd like to see is a little bit more of telling us your story, putting that in first person, telling us, Aaron, I'm going to come back to you here, telling us a little bit more about, what you do in your role, who should contact you, how you're using LinkedIn, and maybe a call to action about the American Lung Association. So just tell us a little bit more of your story. You've got 2,000 characters there, and you certainly have some space that you could work with on that. Okay, so that covers your summary. Scrolling down to the American Lung Association, it's linked to your company page. And you start with the mission, which is great. I'd like to see you adding some paragraph breaks in here just to make it a little bit easier for me to skim through and read. I like how you've got these links in here, and it looks like this is something where maybe it's just it's linked to a web page, I think, right? Let's see. Yep, it's taking me to the lung.org website, which is great. So yeah, some nice media that you've shown in there as well. And it looks like you've actually, you've been with, you were with the American Cancer Society, and then you made the change over to the Lung Association. So we've got some descriptive information in there as well, which is great to demonstrate your longstanding expertise supporting nonprofits and healthcare organizations. Under skills, fundraising, marketing, cause marketing, I think all of those three line up nicely with what I know about you, Maureen. Under recommendations, you've given 10, but let's see here. Given 10, the last time was 2009. So I'd like to see you giving a couple of recommendations in the current year. Think about people you do business with, employees, current or former, bosses, current or former, people in community organizations that you support, boards that you serve on, et cetera, et cetera. So think about giving a couple more that are current, and then you have not received any recommendations. So if you're on your profile, Maureen, you can just request recommendations from people on LinkedIn. What you'll need to do is make sure that you're first level connections with them, and think about people whose recommendations will really demonstrate the expertise and the passion that you have about your industry and about the American Lung Association. Okay? So hopefully that helps out. And I'm going to go back now to Aaron. And Aaron, you were on here, and I think you saw me click off of your profile and go to Maureen, and I just wanted to make sure I got the Maureen's within the session. So Aaron, here's what I'm seeing on your profile. You've got a really nice headshot photo on here. Your face is appropriately sized for the size of the circle there. You've got this image in the background of, it looks like people that are kind of running along the beach. So I'm not sure what your organization, Naked Labs, is all about. You're head of business development and partnerships. So it looks like you're kind of showing, teamwork, people working together. And I really love that nice inspirational sunset photo in the background in there as well. Your headline statement is strategy and business development leader, growth market activation, executive, advisor, coach, and athlete. So maybe you're a runner too. Maybe that's what you got there. So this is, I guess, my one question is, how does this running image associate with your role at Naked Labs and your personality? Aaron, since you're in San Francisco, I haven't met you. I don't know anything about you. So I'm trying to kind of put these pieces together. So maybe I'll figure this out as I continue going through your profile. In your summary statement, I love how you start with all caps, strategy, activation, results, and then you go right into first person. I bring deep experience and perspective. I'm an accomplished career focused on leading commercial and operational success for new offerings. So keep in mind, that's about all people are going to see before, if they're looking at your profile rather on the mobile device. So I don't know enough yet about you to figure that the rest of your story out. So that might be, just thinking about, is that the right place to start, or do you want to use this as an opportunity to tell us more about Naked Labs and the work that you're doing there? All right, and you end with a specialties list, so you do have some room. You could add some more of your story in the summary statement there, Aaron. All right, moving on. Head of Business Development and Partnerships. What I'm seeing that's not located in here, and I see you do have this linked onto your page, so I can click over and I can learn what is Naked Labs, but what I like to say is people are lazy. What I mean by that, Aaron, is most people may not take the time to click over to your company page. So why not make it easy for them? And then even copy this. Naked Labs is a Silicon Valley-based company focused on, here it is, 3D scanning, computer vision, and human-centered design. So now the running thing is starting to tie together for me. You're an athlete, you probably do some running, you're heading up business development and human-centered design. So that helps me understand that. So I would say, why not copy that first sentence, Naked Labs is Silicon Valley, et cetera, add it into your experience section here. And then tell us more about your role of business development and partnerships, what products and services your company is offering there. Okay? Scrolling down, skills and endorsements, product management, startup strategy. Erin, just kind of look at, are those the top 3 skills that you want to be found for on LinkedIn? And is there anything else that might align better with your role at Naked Labs and might help draw your prospects to you? So that just might be something to think about. Recommendations, let's see, you've received 10, given 9. So I'd like to see that a little bit higher. Pretty close here. And in terms of received, you have several. That's excellent for the current year, which is wonderful because then people can see the current, way people are describing you and how they're doing business with you. Given, last time was 2016. So Erin, I would say think about people in your network right now. There's probably 2 to 3 people that you can think of that you could give a recommendation to on LinkedIn. Vendors, clients, people that are in the communities that you support, local organizations, et cetera, et cetera. But think about a couple more recommendations you could give. And Erin, I think you sent me a message. I'm going to follow up with that separately, but that kind of covers off your once-over profile review. Hopefully that was helpful. All right, now let's move on to Roland Biggerstaff. And Roland and I are connected on LinkedIn, and we've been connected, I think, for a little while here, Roland. Roland works for Walsh University, which is in Ohio, and I used to work for Walsh College in Michigan. So I think that may be how we originally first came to be connected. So a couple things I'm looking at here, Roland. On your headshot photo, what I like to look for is professional, pleasant, smiling. I like to see that you're looking at or towards the camera. So this looks like it may be a coworker took a picture of you at work. I can see some cubicles and partitions in the background. A little bit of a glare on your glasses, and you have a much more serious pose here. I'd like to, even the picture that you have in your header in the background is a little, you're looking at the camera in that photo. So what I'd like to see for you, Roland, is something where you're looking at the camera, it's a professional headshot photo, and maybe just, thinking about, some people don't like to show teeth in their smiles, but something with a little bit of a smile to it as well. You look very serious on there, and I don't know you, so some people will make judgment calls based on the profile photo they're seeing on there, and they want to see your face. They want to know that they're connecting with a friendly person. So that might be just something to think about in your headshot photo. Your background image, I'm guessing you were swimming with the dolphins in here, Roland. I'm not sure how that lines up with the role and what you're doing with Walsh University. It's probably just something that's more of a personal hobby, maybe one of your most fun vacations that you've ever went on. But at any rate, you've got your photo in both of these, and you can see right here, they're kind of right up on top of each other. So what you might want to do if you want to keep that photo, Roland, is move that over so that your head is not right on top of your headshot photo there. If you can zoom it out a little bit. Or, consider maybe replacing it with something else that aligns better with your affiliation with Walsh University. Completely up to you. Your headline, you have job title at company. So as I said earlier, what I like to look for here is something that's a little bit more descriptive of who you are, not just your job title. So maybe you're the IT expert, go-to IT person, describe a little bit more, you're troubleshooting, system issues at Walsh University. So tell us a little bit more about what you're doing in your headline, not just the job title at company. That might be one way to expand it out. And in your summary, you do that. You say over 20 years in information technology. This to me, I think you could, certainly tell us more of your story in your summary statement on LinkedIn. I'd like to see this written in the first person. You also, have how people get a hold of you using your Hotmail or going to your walsh.edu web address, which is nice. Nice call to action. But again, going through this, Roland, look back in the original where I kind of described your summary statement should be first person, telling us your story, helping your target audience to understand how you're using LinkedIn and who should be connecting with you. All right, moving down, your experience section. So you go right into your role and your description as system administrator. But Roland, I would say, let's start with a 1 to 2 sentence description. What is Walsh University? What degree programs do you offer? So maybe just using that as an opportunity there. And then moving on to skills and endorsements. It looks like your top 3 skills are servers, network administration, and security. So just look at those, roll and figure out, are those the top 3 things that you want to be known for, and then making sure that you're using all 50 skills. So fill in a couple more skills if you're not using all 50. In recommendations, you've got 11 that you've received and 5 that you've given. So I'd like to see you giving more recommendations so that given number is a little bit higher than received. And then in the received category, the last time you got one was 2017. So that might be just, you know, a suggestion. Think about requesting maybe 1 more on the received side just to get something in the current year, but really focusing more on the given side. And it looks like you've given a recommendation fairly recently here too. So this was somebody, maybe it was an intern working with your group. So really nice example of how to give a recommendation. This is somebody that probably worked in your department, and you can speak directly with his professionalism. So that's a great example. So let's think about maybe 6 more people on the given side so that we have a little bit higher given and received, and you know, maybe spread those out a little bit over time too. Okay, so that covers that off, Roland. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Mahesh, now Mahesh is in India, and I think he found this post. I'm not sure, Mahesh, if it was from LinkedIn or from Facebook, but at any rate, we're connected. And he said, yeah, can you give my profile a review? So here's what I have for you, Mahesh. I'd like to see in your headshot photo, I'd like to see that your face is about 60% of the circle. So if you go into your profile, let me see if I can just click on this right now. So if I go into my profile on LinkedIn, if you click on this pencil icon here, and then you're at the top of your profile, click on the pencil icon again. And what you can actually do, Mahesh, is just zoom in and just kind of pull that in a little bit louder. So if mine was like yours was, a little bit more set back like this, I just want to zoom that in, and then maybe I can recenter that so that my face is about 60% of the circle. I'm not going to apply the changes because I'm happy with where I'm at there in terms of sizing. But just to zoom it in, it makes you seem more approachable. And you do have, it's not professional photo. I see some things that are happening in the background there. If you can use something with a little less clutter in the background, that might be helpful. But still, you're pleasant, you're looking forward, you've got a little bit of a smile on your face here. I think all of those things look good. So if anything, I would say zoom it in, but you know, may want to consider getting a cleaner headshot photo. And the next time you get that photo too, Mahesh, just make sure you take your lanyard off there too. Nice professional shirt in there. And then the background you've got, it looks like it's, I'm not sure where this is. Is this in New York City or is this someplace in India? And I'm not able to tell from the background image here. Oh, I see Radio City Music Hall in the background. So this is New York City. So kind of an interesting shot there. How does that tie in with the work that you're doing? I'm not sure. Is this just an image that you're using that aligns with the audiences that you're targeting? Maybe you're targeting New York City. So just put some thought to what that image is in the background and how that helps to line up with the work that you're doing. Okay. Summary statement, Mahesh, what I like to see is, you know, rewording that into a first person I statement, and then telling us more of your story. What do you do? How are you using LinkedIn? And kind of speaking to your target audience here. You've got a lot of things that are noted in your headline. You've got business development, content writer, copywriter, business news reporter, arts journalist, photographer. So I'm seeing sales, I'm seeing writing, and I'm seeing photography, and I don't quite know where to categorize you. You may just, in fact, wear many hats and be very talented in all of those areas. One common concern I see, though, is when people say, I can do anything, people don't know what you specialize in, so they don't. If I wanted to hire you to be a photographer, I'm not sure, are you a photographer or are you a salesperson who's a content writer and does photography on the side? So think about what's the one area you really are using LinkedIn for, and focus your profile so that everything on your profile points to that and demonstrates your expertise in that area. Right now, it seems pretty broad, and I'm not quite sure of those categories. Moving under your experience section, Mahesh, you have a couple of organizations that are listed here. And I'm not sure if you're in career transition right now or if you're working for yourself, but that might be one thing is, you know, updating if you're independently employed, you know, putting your consulting or your independent organization in here in your experience section. But for the others, it might be if you're looking for another business development role, let's try to fill in some of these previous roles that you've had with a 1 to 2 sentence description of the company, and then describing your responsibility and job title, telling us a little bit more about your story in your experience section. Moving under skills and endorsements, so your top skill is journalism, followed by editing and social media. And again, I'm not quite sure, maybe you are looking to stay in the field of journalism, content writing, based on that top skill, but just think about what are the top 3 skills that you want to be found for on LinkedIn, and make sure that you've organized them there. Recommendations, none yet received and 2 given. The 2 given are a little bit dated, so try to get 1 more that you've given in 2018. So try to think of someone in your network you could give a recommendation to. And on the receive side, think about asking for recommendations. People that could give you a recommendation, perhaps from your previous employers, employees, coworkers, you know, those type of people. But do consider trying to get a couple of those that have been given to you on your LinkedIn profile, because it does help people to kind of understand who are you and what do others say about you and their experience working with you. All right, Mahesh, hopefully that was helpful for you. We're going to move now on to Jayson Nicholas, and Jayson's in the Grand Rapids area. So Jayson, you've got a nice professional looking headshot photos. It's a very serious pose, and that may work well with your industry. It looks like you work with video. And you work in security, so I think that aligns nicely. What I'd like to see, though, is zooming this in and having your face be about 60% of the circle. The reason being, on mobile, it's really hard to see if you're showing from your head to your waist like you're doing there. So click into that area, zoom in on it, and you can do that on your own profile. You don't need to have somebody edit that for you. Okay? The background image lines nicely with your security engineer job title and what you're doing. So I think that works out really nicely there. Your headline is security engineer at, and then you say you're an MBA candidate at, so it looks like you're going to school for your MBA right now as well. So a little bit of a description of information. So, you know, think about how you're using LinkedIn, and is your headline going to capture the attention of the audiences that you're seeking on LinkedIn, and, you know, what message you're sending them. Hopefully that helps out. Moving into your experience section, I'd like to start with a 1 to 2 sentence description of what is BDO USA. Some people may not be familiar with that organization, and then you do describe your roles. I'd like to see, you know, if you're going to include that in there, describe, you know, what is the role of the security engineer. In my role of security engineer, I am responsible for, and then maybe summarizing a few of those, talking about any key achievements, maybe adding in some keywords in a specialty list as well. That might be a suggestion there. Skills and endorsements, you have disaster recovery, risk assessment, and security as your top 3 skills. Make sure those are the 3 things you want to be found for. And let's see, I don't think you have any recommendations yet, so you may want to think about requesting a couple of recommendations and giving a couple of recommendations, Jayson. So hopefully that helps you out. We're going to move now on to Ian Baker, and Ian is across the pond, if you will. I think Ian's one of my contacts that I've made due to a shared affiliation with John Asperian, perhaps? I'm not sure. It looks like we only are connected with Aaron Burby, so maybe Aaron, whose profile I reviewed earlier in today's session, maybe he gave me the shout out. But at any rate, here's what I have for you, Ian. So your headshot photo, you may want to just zoom that in a little bit. You've got some shadowing happening behind you. That might be something to think about, a new headshot photo in there. I think what you have is fine. I would just say let's zoom in your face just a little bit more. So that your face is about 60% of the circle. Your background image, you use the default, which is that teal blue with the interconnected dots and lines. It looks like the galaxy. And I would say let's use something that either aligns with your employer, your organization, or the industry that you work in. My guess is your consultant, IB Media Technology, and that might be your own company. And what I would recommend, I'm going to show you this on my profile. I'm independently employed as well. I'm an independent consultant. My company is Meller Marketing. So what I've done is I've created a company page on LinkedIn for Meller Marketing. And when I click on that logo, now you can learn more about my company page. So that's a business development marketing tip for you, Ian. What you can do is you can actually go under this work icon, scroll all the way down to the bottom and click on create a company page. And then you just follow these instructions. You know, I'm not going to do this right now, but ID technology. And you know, if you don't have a company page yet on LinkedIn, then you can create that company page and get it linked to your profile. So hopefully that helps you out there, Ian. And let's see what else we have here. Your headline, Senior Engineer, Solutions Architect, and Technology Expert. So you've used some nice words and phrases in there. You may just want to use this as an opportunity to tell people about IB Media Technology if you're looking for new clients for your work. So add in a couple more keywords in there that maybe use the I help blank with blank. You know, I help organizations with technology solutions or something along those lines. So think about expanding on that. Ian, it doesn't look like you have a summary statement on your profile yet, so I would definitely consider adding that in on your profile. If you go under your profile, there's this little pencil icon here. If you click on this pencil icon, you're going to be in this top card section of your profile, and you're going to see this section here called Summary, and this is where you would add in a summary about yourself on LinkedIn. Writing in the first person, telling us your story, who are you, how are you using LinkedIn, and speak to your target audience, who should be contacting you and for what. So consider adding that in. Experience adding in, as I said earlier, getting that linked to a company page, and then also adding in a 1 to 2 sentence description of what is IB Media Technology. Describe that for your audience. What products and services are you offering, and maybe even a call to action. How should people get a hold of you, either by email or by phone? So hopefully that helps you out there. Scrolling down here to skills and endorsements, I'm seeing broadcast television, VOD, and broadcast. But if I go up to your headline, you're telling me you're a senior engineer, solutions architect, and technology expert. So I would think you may want to change up those skills there, Ian, just to align the top skills with the skills that you want to be found for. And if you remember it in my example, what I'm doing is I go down to my skills section on LinkedIn, and when I get to this section, what you can do is just click on the pencil icon, and if there's something you wanted to unpin from the top 3, and then you could pin something else in its place on your profile, I'm not going to save the changes here. If you're not seeing skills on your profile, Ian, that you need to add in, then you can just click on Add a New Skill, and then you can add those in on your profile, okay? I'm going to close out of here. I'm going to click on back. I'm trying to get back to Ian's profile. Let's see. Here we are. All right, so now we're back to Ian's profile. So that covers off your skills. Recommendations, you have received 2. The last time was 2015. So I would say let's request a couple more recommendations from current clients in this year. And you've given 3, which is great because you have a higher number given than received. But let's think about giving some recommendations in the current year as well. Okay? Hopefully that helps you out there, Ian. And let's see who else we have. Jennifer, Serra. Jennifer's in Royal Oak, Michigan. And Jennifer's got a great professional headshot photo here on LinkedIn, pleasant, smiling. Her face is a little bit more than 60%. So Jennifer, you could zoom out a little bit. It may be intentional. I'm not sure if this was a professional or maybe this was a cropped photo here, but you're fine with where you're at, but you could zoom yourself back just a little bit if you wanted to as well. Your heading in the background, I'm trying to combine words here. Your image in the background here, Jennifer, is a really nice quote. One thing to consider though, Jennifer, is look at your profile on your mobile device. When you look at your profile in mobile, you're going to see that your headshot photo, which is left aligned in desktop, goes in the center. And we're actually not going to be able to read the last 2 lines of your quote because your headshot photo is going to be covering that. So what I might suggest doing is, I'm just going to show you my profile in a different page here. Ooh. Let's try to log into my profile here. So when I pull up my profile on a separate page, you see that I put my text right aligned, and that's so people can still read it whether they're looking at my profile in desktop or in mobile view. So that might be one thing, just shifting that to right align. You have human resources professional as your headline. You certainly could expand that out just a little bit there, Jennifer, and describe more of your expertise, what you're passionate, what makes you different from other human resource professionals that are out there. You do use first person. Let's see what we have in here in your summary statement. So I might just say, maybe just think about what's the first sentence you have in your summary statement, because you're only going to be able to see about, through the first sentence and a half on mobile. So I want to make sure I understand who you are, how you're using LinkedIn, and why I'd want to contact you based on that summary statement. So that might need a little bit of work there, Jennifer, in terms of kind of telling your story, and you want to kind of capture people with something initially in your profile. Since you use inspirational statements, maybe starting off with something a little bit broader in there, and then bringing people into, and this is why I'm passionate about working in the human resources field, something along those lines. So it looks like you're working with Donate Life Coalition of Michigan. I don't see that linked on your experience section here, Jennifer, so you may want to make sure if Donate Life has a company page, you get that linked. If not, recommend that they set up a company page. And again, you just go on the work icon, click all the way down to the bottom, and click on create a company page. Really easy to do. That way, if we're on your profile, just like Gift of Life Michigan, when I click on that, it takes me to the Gift of Life company page. So it's just a really easy way of getting that linkage set up, so it does help support your company, Donate Life Coalition of Michigan. Okay. And you do have the about statement in here, and then you have a little bit of your description of your role. Okay, moving into skills, training, leadership, customer service. I'm not seeing anything about human resources, which is what you had in your headline. So that might be an area to add into there. And then just thinking about, do you have 50 skills that are listed? If not, look up other people who have your job title, and that might give you some inspiration on what to add. Recommendations. Okay, you've got some received, which is great. You've got 6 in the current year, and you haven't given any yet, Jennifer. So think about people in your network you could give recommendations to. Your goal is to have 1 or 2 more recommendations than you have received. So your homework assignment, Jennifer, is to think about 7 or 8 people that you could give a recommendation to on LinkedIn and start to build those up. That builds up social media karma and may also lead you to some new profile views too. All right. So let's move on now to Afua. And Afua found me, I'm not sure, I think it was through the LinkedIn post, if I'm not mistaken. But we have not met. She is based in Virginia. And so here's my feedback for you, Afua. On your headshot photo, pleasant, professional, smiling. I love your colorful blouse. It's just really nice. I might suggest, zooming that in so that your face is about 60% of the circle. I think you're about 40 to 50% right now. So you could certainly zoom that in just a little bit. And I'm going to click over to mine here just to show you. So when we zoom our face in, it makes us seem more approachable. From a marketing perspective here, it's more of a zoomed in face, more approachable, more important, more prominent. So as you zoom it in, it helps to kind of increase that perception. So that might be one thing to do there. And then your header image in the background, I'm not seeing anything in there. So I'd like to see something that either lines up with your employer or your professional or personal brand. And you're describing yourself as a digital communications and operations management professional, international affairs, social media, Africa. So you've got a lot of great keywords and things in there that you could use to spark some inspiration for that header image in the background. I'm not seeing a summary section on your LinkedIn profile. So again, what I would recommend is that you click on your pencil icon here. And then when you go into this top header card, you can scroll down to the section that's called summary and use this to tell us your story. Who are you? How are you using LinkedIn? Why should people connect with you? Or people that are landing on your profile. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you're using LinkedIn. Moving down to your experience section, I'd like to recommend starting with a 1 to 2 sentence description of the U.S. Department of State Bureau of International Information Programs. Now, when I click on this logo, it takes me to your company page. So here's a little, kind of insight you could do is just, create your summary statement based on this about us description. So you could just copy this "we create" statement, and you could change it to say the U.S. Department of State Bureau of International, what does it say in here? Bureau of International Information Programs, and then you can continue that statement in there. So put that as a 1-sentence description in the beginning. And then I would say describe what is your role. So as a digital media strategist, I am responsible for, and then maybe some of the products and services that your organization works with, and maybe some of your key accomplishments in that role. Okay. Moving on, let's go down to skills and endorsements. Just make sure the top 3 skills are the 3 things that you want to be found for. I've seen several times on your profile digital communications and digital media. So if that's a top skill, you may want to think about just reordering that in your skills and endorsements section. Moving into recommendations, you have 3 that are received and 1 in the current year, which is great. Nothing given yet. So I'd like to see you giving a couple of recommendations to people in your network. All right, so hopefully that helps out. We got 2 more, actually 1 more left to go, guys, and we're at noon right now. So I'm going to end this, and then I'm going to post this for playback for those of you who missed it a little bit earlier. So Nadine is a fellow Women in Digital member, and I think, Nadine, you may have seen my post on the Slack channel for Women in Digital. So happy to have you on the session today. So here we go. All right, headshot photo. I think you look great there. You've got pleasant, professional, smiling. Your face it's maybe about 50%. So you could zoom in your face just a little bit there, but I think you're really fine. If I'm just toggling back and forth between yours and mine, I think, it's just a smidgen larger on my face on there. And again, the closer up you are, Nadine, I think you probably know this working in digital marketing, the more approachable, the more impressive, the more prominent you may seem. So that could be just a slight little change in there. You've got a nice branded header image in the background, and I think this is one of the header images provided to us by Women in Digital. So really nice there, and it does align nicely with what I'm seeing in your headline. You're a senior digital marketer, you're supporting, and you're a member of an organization called Women in Digital. So I can see you're very closely aligned with supporting fellow women who work in digital roles, and you're supporting that organization, which is really nice to do. Your headline, you have senior digital marketer and global website program leader seeking new opportunities to drive results. So it sounds like you might be in career transition. I like that you didn't lead with it, but you're saying seeking new opportunities to drive results, which makes me just kind of want to scroll down to your profile to see, are you independently employed or are you in between successes? And I think it's probably the latter. You're looking for your next opportunity. So I think that works out nicely there in terms of how you're using that summary rather the headline on LinkedIn. So seeking new opportunities, it makes me question, is she looking for clients or is she looking to work for someone? What I don't like to see is in between successes, unemployed, actively in career transition, because we want to make sure that we are positioning ourselves in our headline statement, in our summary section, everywhere on our LinkedIn as an expert in our industry. You are not your job title. Your job title does not define you. You are the culmination of all your career successes and everything that you bring to your next position. So focus on that. And I like how you've done that. Senior digital marketer and global website program leader. So I know that you have expertise in digital marketing and in website design, which is great. Let's look at your summary section now, Nadine. So in our first 3 sentences, I want to make sure that we're catching people usually within the first sentence or 2, because that's all they're going to see on the mobile. So let's look at this. A digital marketing and communications professional. So moving this to the first person, I would say would be the first suggestion I have for you. I am a digital marketing and communications professional. That sounds like a resume. So how could we tweak that a little bit? I am a passionate digital and marketing communications professional. I am a, what other adjectives or words or phrases could you use in there that differentiate you from your competition? I am a digital marketing and communications professional with global experience. That might be one way to differentiate yourself. But again, I use the summary section to tell your story. You do have some long paragraphs in here, Nadine. So what I might suggest, and look at my profile as you're working on this too. I'm not going to get weirded out when you look at my profile. This is what I encourage my clients to do all the time. So look at, I've got short, snackable chunks of copy, short paragraphs in here. I use section headings to break up some of the different areas that are areas of expertise for me. So think about doing the same on yours as well, just to break that up, hopefully to make it a little bit easier to kind of skim through. I think you've got some really nice language in here, but you could certainly break that up. And then Nadine, what I would do on yours as well is include this specialties list, put a list of keywords and phrases that you want to be found for on LinkedIn, okay? So hopefully that helps out there in the summary section. In your experience, it looks like right now you're in between successes. So if you're doing any side work, Nadine, you could certainly add in here on your profile. I created Meller Marketing, a couple of years ago as my side hustle. And then when I moved into it full time, that was my consulting business. So you could, think about if you're doing some side work right now while you're in between successes, making a company, and maybe it's just, digital marketing by Nadine or something simple, just to put that in there and kind of show what you're working on while you're looking for your next position. Moving on to the next section down here, skills and endorsements, marketing communications, marketing and leadership. Now the first 2 are very similar, Nadine, and digital marketing seem to be an area of focus for you as well as website. So I might suggest reorganizing your skills and endorsements list and looking at other people who are digital marketers on LinkedIn. What skills do they have on their profile, and thinking about adding in those skills to your profile as well. Recommendations, you've received 6 and you've given 2. Your last one was December of last year. So I would say reach out to, maybe current or, previous coworkers, team members, clients, vendors you've worked with, bosses, mentors, people within your local Women in Detroit chapter that know you and that can speak to your professional expertise. Ask them to give you a recommendation, and that could definitely help you as you're in this career transition process. You've given 2, so Nadine, I'd like to see you giving a couple of more recommendations than you've received. So your homework is to request a couple more recommendations and then to give more than you've received on here. So maybe think about giving maybe 6 more and requesting maybe 2 more, so you have some current ones that are in there. But I think it's you've got some recommendations that you've given here, and again, this just helps to show that you're a good advocate of other people in your network. It brings visibility to their profile. And I've even seen, Nadine, some people will offer, I'll do a recommendation for you if you can give me one as well. Perfectly fine, as long as you can speak to their professional expertise. All right, guys, so I think that's it. And just to kind of close off here, if you joined the session late, I went through profile optimizations here on LinkedIn. We went a little bit over on the time, and I think I saw a couple more messages with other people saying, hey, can you look over my profile? I've got to get to a few other projects here today, so I'm going to be setting up a LinkedIn profile review session probably about once a month or so here on Facebook. If I did not get to your LinkedIn profile today, if you'd like to be featured in a future session, make sure you visit my Facebook Meller marketing page and respond there, and I'll include you in the next batch. Or if you're looking for additional assistance with LinkedIn, do keep in mind I do provide additional services through Meller Marketing. I do individual coaching sessions on LinkedIn. I can work with you in person or virtual. I do profile rewrite packages, and I also do all done packages on the individual level. And at the team level, I can come out to your company and train your team on how to use LinkedIn for business development and to be great company advocates for yourself. Okay, guys, I'm going to look in Facebook to see if there's any questions here before I close off the session. Again, since we went much longer in time than I anticipated, I don't know that we'll have any questions. I know that many of you joined in and probably watched your profile review and stuffed out. So it looks like some great feedback here. You're welcome, Erin. Happy to help you. Helena, looks like you had to leave the session. Great to see your name on there. Maureen, absolutely, you're most welcome on those profile tips on there. And hey, Shar, it looks like you're on the session. I'm not sure if you're still on there. Ara, you're on as well. Rick, how you doing? Ian, thank you so much for joining us here today. All right, guys, I think that's it. I'm going to wrap this up so I can get this posted live. If you're watching this in the playback, please consider clicking to share it on your timeline, whatever social network you're watching this on. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please do like this and subscribe to my channel so you can see future updates for sessions like these.